realized
Nothing.
I don't know if we've had a dedicated podcast about the law of attraction, which we might have, but I don't know if we really, because I feel like I feel like we just become more and more wise as we continue to live. And I feel like, and the reason I say this is because as I'm paying more attention to my interactions with other humans in my daily life, I'm realizing more and more that if people just knew this one thing and didn't know anything else, if they just knew that and subscribed to that, done. That's it. Just go live your life and know that that's the thing. Like, you know what I mean? So,
Oh my God, this is perfect opener for our show. Hello, welcome to Flowgetter. Erica, that was hilarious. If people just knew this one thing, it's the law of attraction. Okay, so why don't they know this, Erica? Why have the secrets of the universe been hidden from humanity? Why don't they know?
I didn't know it either until I met you.
Has your life changed as a result of this knowledge?
OMG. Yes. I
Okay,
mean,
for the better, I'm assuming.
for the best. Heck yeah. And here's why. Because, and we can explain what it is and all the things.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But
We'll
just tell us the benefits first. Let's start with key benefits.
Key benefits. Okay, number one, it empowerment is like, oh my God, when you realize that you create your entire world, all of your experiences, your entire reality is because of what goes on in here, that gives you so much understanding and freedom to just continue to create in a more conscious way. When you don't know that, you're just it's almost like you're reacting to everything that hits you, and you don't know why, and you try all these things that don't work to change them, and you try to do things from the outside, and that doesn't work either, because you don't know that it's all stems from what's going on inside. So
so why? This is like my favorite topic, so we're just going to ask every question that we think of. Okay.
And I want you to answer them too, because you have.
I will. Okay. Yeah, when I'm gonna just go crazy. But let's start with why. Okay, so people don't, maybe even if they know about this idea, they're really not going to get on board. They'll get on board for a few things. Like, I have some really sweet neighbors, and they're like, "I manifested." I'm like, "Oh my God, yay!" But they're not all day kind of maybe living in it, right? It's super adorbs when they are like into that. It's like the cutest thing in the world. But it's like when bad things happen, we're victims. And when good things happen, we manifested. And a lot of times the manifesting people are people that have never had any challenges in their life or anything significant. And so people that have had horrid stuff happen are like, are you serious? Now, that said, I've seen people on the Abraham Hicks hot seat, and they're like, oh, I was abused as a child sexually by my whatever, like the worst upbringing, maybe. And they're still totally on board. They're like, oh no, I get it. And they're happy with it. So I'm going to say that there are people that have had the worst situations and they're still thumbs up to law of attraction. But I want to know what your thoughts are around switching from that victim happened to me manifesting, especially when it's like you've got a fire hose and you don't know how to point it, and it's really hard to figure out what to do. And it's like it's sometimes not helpful for people to know that they create their reality, because it makes them beat themselves up. Or why would I do that to myself? I was 4 years old. Why would I do that to myself? I was 1 year old. So I just want to kind of crack that egg a little bit before we talk about what it is and how you control it. Because the what, we'll get there. But just the idea that you create your own reality.
Yes. Yeah, that's excellent.
Deep dive, man.
Let's do this. This is great. Okay. Yeah, because it can feel really insensitive to say, oh yeah, you created that. Oh, you were sexually molested as, an innocent child, and then you're telling me that I called that in? How dare you? And I completely, I mean, now here's what I will say. I think when you start at kind of the fundamentals. What do you believe about life and how you come into this existence? My belief personally is that a lot of this stuff I chose even before I came into this life. I almost feel like, here's an example, and I know that I will 100% admit I have lived an amazing life. I mean, the worst thing that happened to me was I lost my mom unexpectedly at 16.
Which is
And
pretty horrible.
it could be, it could
Could
be
be.
seen
You
as
have a
horrible.
slightly different
I have a
perspective,
different
but
perspective, but it took time to get this perspective that I have now. And I actually attribute a lot of it to the law of attraction, having a really positive perspective about it. Because I could easily have just kind of walked through life and said, oh, the pilot of the plane that my mom was on, it was his fault. And I could just walk through life being angry at this guy, and blame, victim. I could do that. That serves me not at all.
No.
But my belief is, even before I came into this life, and I have, it's interesting because, I, as a child, I had a lot of anxiety around losing my parents. And I don't think that that's not all children have that, but I had a lot. Like I would sit at the window and wait for them to come home from work. And I would look at the cars and I would get really anxious if they were even like 30 minutes late, or 20 minutes late.
Have you been at the casino? What have you been doing?
But there was an abnormal amount of worry. I think. I don't think most kids worry as much as I did.
I was like, thank God they're gone. Where is the candy? That's good. Yeah.
I mean, my kid does not worry when I'm gone. I know he doesn't, because, and I've asked him before too. But I think, I was told, when I first learned about the law of attraction, one of my first thoughts was, oh my God, did I create that? Because I was so worried and I put so much energy behind, my parents dying. Did I do that? And that was kind of more of a fleeting thought, because all the things, when you first learn about this stuff, or when I did, you kind of explore your whole life from that prism. And so
you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then someone told me, no, that was more of a psychic thing. You had, and when I learned that, I was like, that felt so right. Yes. And then I realized, oh, I knew that was going to happen. And, we can get into the whole conversation about time too, but that's a whole nother podcast. But this is,
we don't want to overwhelm
we won't
ourselves.
But point being, I believe that, they call it an awakening for a reason. You wake up to these things that you've known, like from before you even came into this life. And so this is one of those things where, I accept that I agreed to go through this experience where my mom, left at a young age and pretty abruptly. Not only do I accept it, but I wanted that experience. And
you signed up for it.
I signed up for it, and I love it, because this is where I am now. I don't think I would be here if that hadn't happened. Right. And so I guess that's why, for me, the law of attraction, think of the worst possible thing that's happened to you or to anyone you know, and what are the amazing things that have come out of it? And if they haven't yet come out of it, then keep going, because there are some beautiful nuggets that come out of the more horrible, the more beautiful. That's just how it is. There's balance. That's how this reality works. There's got to be balance.
And we have a whole podcast on this too, by the way. So
we
those
do.
of you more interested in that avenue.
Yes. Okay. Your thoughts.
Well, you said something really powerful, and I think it's super important to start there. Is your beliefs about life and spirituality 100% factor into whether you're going to sort of see the law of attraction as something that's like victim, or like it's not going to fit in your world if you think something wants you to, like, something else is in charge. Something else is in charge, which is true. I guess let's put it this way. If there's one thing, right, there's this sort of allness, And everything is connected to the allness, whether it's, you know, plastic dongle thingy or, you know, a
Such a good word.
beautiful baby, it's a dongle, or a beautiful baby hummingbird or us or you. Everything is from the source, right? Nothing is separated. So you sort of somehow everything's signed up to be what it is and do a dance. And some dances are scary, some dances are easy, you know, the whole thing. And I think people who are attracted to law of attraction, like as a concept, are looking to move from a space of things are happening to me and I don't feel very powerful and I feel very like I just kind of have to go with it, versus the go with it that is resting in empowerment. Because there is still, I still feel like there's a stream, there's an energy, but it's the kind you can just relax into. But the empowerment that you get is that you're choosing, you're at choice for how you think and feel. Absolutely. Whereas the other way, you are reacting to things like this person took your money and you're supposed to be mad. Okay. Now, granted, that would make anybody a little mad, but some people are mad and other people are like, oh, I guess they needed the money. Like they're way on the all is well side. So if you're doing, I think, kind of rambling, but it's like this idea that you want to be ready to be in a space of owning that you have the choice to feel how you want to feel, because that's what determines how much love and abundance you're going to let in or not. And I think so much of our lives, we're at this point of like, I just got to react to everything around me. So how can I control my feelings when all these things are happening? It's like, and when you're ready to say, no, I'm going to control how I feel, that's the difference between, so you can believe in anything, but you have to be the one that wants to own your own internal climate, so to speak.
Yeah.
Expand on more of what you were going to say, but that was my thought for the moment.
No, I'm going to ask you a question because I think maybe this is a good segue to kind of explain what the law of attraction is, because you touched on it. I think some people might not quite understand how feelings are related to the creation part.
Okay. So let's look at the PowerPoint. Just kidding. I wish I had a PowerPoint right now. Okay. So, all right. So as I understand it, I always start back at there's one thing. It is creation. You can call it God, source, Allah, you pick a name. I'm calling it Kyle today. So there's Kyle. Kyle is the universe. And so I don't know why Kyle.
I like Kyle.
Oh, because I was watching Minions and one of the
Kyle. Oh wait, that's South Park.
South Park, yeah, South Park too. But in Minions, something's named Kyle. I can't remember what it is. But okay, so you have the allness, everything. Okay, and let's just get some perspective here. You know how we have this solar system and we're in this Milky Way galaxy, and that's a galaxy, and how many things are inside that galaxy? It's like, I don't know, trillion planets. I don't really know. Well, there's trillions of galaxies. So I just want to get some perspective. Countless things beyond even, you think infinity, it's bigger. So whatever's in charge of making that happen, that's the thing we're trying to relax into it. And my personal belief is that it's an energy source that powers all. And it's not trying to teach you anything. You have come in to like sort of choose your own adventure, to reduce the, like, maybe in the non-physical space where all this energy is, things are kind of like, but I think in this dense space, things are really intense. It's like eating nuclear gummy worms. You're just like, whoa, like it's super intense. So as a light being, a soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it, you're going to just be like, this looks fun. I mean, it's kind of scary, but I'm going to do it. And then you come in, right? And you wear the veil of forgettingness. I will get to what the law of attraction is. Please hold. So you get here and you know, probably when you're a baby, you're like, whoa. And then you get conditioned out of remembering that you were really super connected to source. And everybody goes through this. No, like 2 people are perhaps special. One, the Dalai Lama, not Eckhart Tolle. He struggled with everybody else. So it's probably 1 to 2 people, perhaps, like a few people that like never forgot.
Jesus, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe,
possible.
I don't know. Maybe not.
We'll interview him next week. We'll find out. So he's next week on our show. And so we come in with this forgettingness, but the law of attraction in this is the binding force that holds all the energy together, right? So throughout infinite time, space, galaxies, there is just one. It's the ultimate binder. Yes, it's like, in the heck is that called? Star Wars. Like it's the force binds everything. And so it's basically attractive in nature. So there's no. It's just a yes. So if you think, don't think about a blue elephant, immediately you thought of a blue elephant. So the universe, this binding force is only a yes. So it's a force within the energy. So I know that it's like, well, what's a force, right? Magnetism. You can't see it. It's literally not something that even atoms you can see with a certain microscope, but you can't see you can see magnetic energy, but that's because you can see like light waves and particles and stuff, but the energy that's pulling, you can't see that. Like it's invisible. The law of attraction is just like that, but with the entire universe. So when we're focused on a thing we want and we have no resistance to having that thing be in our life, it just feels good to think about that thing because the universe is one to yes. If there's something that we want in our life that we feel like, I want that, but, and then there's some kind of negative experience, well, then we have basically you're saying no to the universe. Like it's going, I'm a yes, I'm a universe, I'm one big yes. And you're like, but no. And that's where our free will is like, well, I'll never find a guy that will be X, Y, and Z. And then the universe is like, fine, you can blackmail you want. I've got kind of a delivery system here, but because we have the choice. And then, of course, the third thing is focusing on things you don't want a lot. And you're still saying yes to them because it's one binding force. So it just keeps going yes. And there's that. And that's all the conscious sort of way of doing it. There's also your unconscious, which is your subconscious, which is how you feel. Okay, you were asking me about emotions. Sorry, this is like, you brought up this topic. It's like, okay, so.
Or if you want, I can speak on it. I don't know.
You will. I'm going to release this in 2 seconds. I got it. No, but okay. So I said this in another podcast, but I want to bring it up because I loved it so much. Okay. So each being, imagine you're like a little bell. And if you hit a bell, a sound comes off of it. So the entire universe is basically waves of energy and sound and light. You are this also. So as you have a feeling, as you observe something and have a feeling, that comes off of you like sound. And things will entrain to that wave. Just like if you pluck a guitar string, the other guitar will kind of, or if you play music really loud, other instruments will start resonating with that thing. That's you in the universe's dance. So you can get influenced, but you're allowing that influence. Something, no one can make you be influenced, but you can allow that influence. But all your emotions and all your thoughts, and sometimes, for most people, their thoughts come first and then they have their emotions. Sometimes it's the other way around. But all of that is what comes off of you, and no one is aware. Like you said, no one's really, I'm really aware of this rule. And I still sometimes I'm like, wow, this energy that's coming off me, I wasn't aware how not in alignment with what I really want it is. It's like, it's going this way and I'm going that way. And I'm like, oh, and you don't realize that that's really dissonant. And so that's why you can't manifest something, because the energy coming off you doesn't match the wave of the thing you want. Your job is to match the wave of the thing that you want. And you do that with emotions that feel like the thing you want, which typically are good feelings. Typically. Okay, I'm going to conclude my monologue to throw it to you, Eric.
That was
what are
great.
all your thoughts on all that?
Oh, you did it.
Did I
Great.
answer the question though? Because sometimes that happens where I
I mean, yeah, I think so. I think, you and I, um,
What is it
yeah,
to you? What's law of attraction to you?
the law of attraction to me, and sometimes I tend to oversimplify things,
No, it's
because I
good
don't
because people
have
are
the,
now falling asleep. So you should.
I mean, to me, it's all in the name. It's basically just, like attracts like. That's what it is. That's what it boils down to. So if I am feeling bad about something, all I'm doing is creating. And I will say, you exactly. For me, uh, I have this fascination with feelings and emotions, and for me, life all boils down to this in a way. In terms of creating and creation, for me, I see that, the way that we can create things, or the way that we do create things, is through the feelings and emotions body, emotional body.
Okay.
And it's not so much the thoughts, as far as I can tell. It's more the feeling that's triggered by the thought.
Yeah.
So because if it was just thoughts, it'd be like, oh, I want to win the lottery. Well, then I would win the lottery.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a
Like all the
really good
thoughts,
point. It's just like,
it doesn't work like that. It's
no,
like,
it's the
oh,
feeling that comes off the thought.
yeah. So if I think, oh, I want to win the lottery, but I can even feel in my body how I have so much resistance to that. Chances are I'll never win the lottery. I'm conscious enough to know that, oh my God, and then how would that work? And then I'd have to hire a lawyer, and then I worry about all these things.
And your
It's so
brow
silly.
furrows.
Yeah. It's like,
It's
oh,
very
this
bad.
one's not primed for winning the lottery over here. So, and so there, if you really get in touch with, okay, you have all these thoughts. Having thoughts is easy, but then what you have to do is really, feel into your body about what those thoughts bring. And a lot of times, if we have this, mental anxiety, and we're worried about stuff, um, happening or not happening, and then we feel, anxious about it, and then we see signs of the thing happening that we don't want. Well, that's, yeah. I mean, it's like, oh, I'm worried about getting to work. Am I gonna, I have a meeting to get to, and I have the speech I have to give, and oh my gosh, I'm gonna mess up, and I'm really nervous. And then you may not mess up as badly as you might have been worried about, but you still feel like you didn't do quite as good as you could have, because you were worried about it, and you
Right.
sent off that signal, or, the reverse can, so it really is paying attention to how you're feeling. That is what creates every single experience. And here's the thing. When you look at how life works, we have I call it a gift of time, even though sometimes it's hard to see time as a gift, but we have the gift of time because, not because, but it takes time for things to grow. It takes time for hair to grow. It takes time for plants to grow. It takes time to change the body, or whatever it is. Natural things take time. Same thing with manifesting. You can't expect to just start feeling good about something and then wham, it comes,
Yeah.
it takes time. It takes practice. And it
Except
really,
Jesus was PhD level,
right. This
but
is true.
most of us are still in kindergarten, grade, middle school tops.
Yes, the great point, because that's exactly it, where, yeah, everything is possible. And yes, we can get to a point, and in later podcasts we'll maybe talk about extra dimensional kind of life,
Ooh,
where
yeah.
manifesting instantly, yeah, that happens, and that is very much
Yeah.
a
But that's not what we
possibility.
came here for.
That's not what we came here for. Exactly. We didn't come to Earth to manifest instantly. Exactly.
Yeah. We
Um,
came for
experience,
the experience of it happening
the journey.
slowly, and the journey
Yeah,
and all that, all the
the richness.
cliche stuff, I think is completely true, actually.
Absolutely.
But when no one's enjoying the journey, then they're like, it's stupid, I just want to get to the thing. And the reason, here's a law of attraction note, the reason we want the thing is so we can have a feeling that we think it's going to bring us, right? So
Yep.
what's super obvious right there?
Exactly. So just get to the feeling.
Yeah.
Just go to the feeling, because here's the interesting thing. Think of anything you've ever manifested or has ever come into your life that you wanted. You sooner or later move on to the next thing that you want. It's
Oh,
like, oh,
within
I want
15
this.
minutes of achieving, I mean, this is true, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about,
Like, yeah,
jobs, relationships, house,
The perfect hair product.
financial.
I
Yeah.
finally got the perfect hair product. Wait, it could be better though.
Yeah.
Like, it could be shinier.
Now what about it? Yeah.
Could be
Now I want a different
like,
color.
you're like, I have searched for 6 years. I found the best shampoo. You're happy for a week, and then you're looking for more hair products. It's that idea that like we're happy for 5 minutes, and then we're on the search again. And it's because we're somewhat chasing the feeling of the excitement, the hunt, I think. But like pure satisfaction, sometimes people they live in it for about 5 seconds and then they're back to they're wanting something because they've actually practiced wanting.
Yes.
More
so much more
than they've practiced satisfaction. So what's the obvious answer?
So yes. So just get to that feeling of satisfaction. You don't need the external stuff. You don't, I mean, it's fun to have, and it does make life more fun. Like, I admit it's imagining being in an awesome partnership or romantic relationship can be challenging, when you're just kind of trying to imagine it without actually having the person in front of you. Once that person comes, it makes it so much easier to feel all those feelings, because you can, but it really is the truth of the matter is the way that the universe works is that, it all comes down to the feeling. So if you've ever had that feeling in the past, maybe that's something to, what's the word? Go back and try to feel, not go back, but, kind of dig up that feeling that you knew that, it's about the feeling, not the outside thing.
Yeah. I also call it feelizing because I think visualizing if you can visualize something and you feel completely sure that it's coming to you, go for it. Most people, they get worried. Well, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't know, and they get all sideways. So the idea is, okay, why do you want a relationship? I want to feel loved. I want to feel loving. I want to feel satisfied. I want to feel adventurous. I want to feel. So what's the homework? The homework is pick those feelings out and purposely try to feel them for longer than 30 seconds. And then try to feel them for longer than a minute. Because what they do is they're magnetic. But all of your other feelings are like a giant steam train going this way of wanting, frustration, confusion, all the things. And then you're trying to feel satisfaction for like 1 second. It's really hard because there's a lot of momentum going that way. So the homework is practice feeling the feelings you actually want. And eventually, because I've done this and it super works, like look into my eyes, people, it totally works. That if you just practice consistently, it gets so much easier and you can have way longer periods of time and it gets so much more attractive to, pull in your, let's put it this way. You don't need the things after a certain period of time because you're like, I just feel good. I don't really care.
Yes.
And then when you're least expecting it, they just swoop right in. But you can't be like, oh, I'm going to feel it, so then I won't care. But then where is it? Like you truly have to care about feeling. This is the main thing I've learned. And it took me a long time to learn this. A long time is the main thing is you just got to want to feel good. And you got to do whatever it takes to feel good, whether you get the thing you want or not. And it's really hard to do when you've had habits for decades of not doing that. But it's the most important thing. And because the universe is just going to keep saying yes to whatever you're doing, whatever you're feeling. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And the better you get at it, the easier when you do fall out of it, the easier it gets to jump back into it. I've noticed.
That's true, because I definitely fall out.
And I do too, it's like it, and then, but it's because you've spent enough time in that good feeling place for no reason. Your body is familiar with what that feels like. And it's like, oh yeah, I can just get right back in that pretty simply. And one of the things I'll say is one of the easiest ways to, if you really do prioritize feeling above everything else, you start to find so many little things to feel appreciative about. It's amazing. Like things like, synchronicities are something to celebrate. Like, oh my gosh, 11/11. Like, you hear people say that and it's like, okay, yeah. But no, or you like every time I look at the clock and I keep seeing the same time. Oh, that's so fun. It's like just starting to celebrate the the smaller things, or, watching a couple of squirrels run up the tree and have fun and playing, appreciating that, because just appreciating the everyday little things are what are starting to build that momentum of more and more and more and more good feeling. And then you'll start to notice cool little things will start to enter into your reality that make you feel even more good. And then those smaller things will turn into slightly bigger things. And
Yes.
it's so cool how that it just works. I swear it works.
And, I 100% think that was a wonderful thing that you said, because you kind of forget about all those little nuances. And it really should be true that watching squirrels go crazy and chase each other up trees should delight you.
It does.
We're all going to die sometime. Like, you came here to see stuff. And sometimes it doesn't have to all be car chases and alien invasions, although fun. It's like all the little things also are just as important as, these bigger things that we want. But I mean, you're living most of your day with making your bed, looking to, it's a million little things. So why shouldn't all of those things be like,
Something
oh, yay. Yeah, something to celebrate. So thank you for bringing that up, because I know I lose sight of that. I'm like, I want the thing to be the thing. And I'm missing all of it. And that's that present moment stuff, which is, God, a whole other topic. But, okay. So what have you noticed since you really sort of took on the law of attraction thing? You said there was like empowerment. Like, what other things were really key for you, or what did you experience when you started shifting to this mindset? Because it resonated with you, and then you started shifting, right?
So many things have really beautifully shifted. I've realized that I don't play the blame game anymore. I judge so much less. I mean, I still judge, but
and we're like, oh my God.
I got it.
Oh my God, look at
that. But not like, I think I catch myself more, and I feel worse about it than
yeah,
and
you realize it's not who you really are.
It's not,
before it was kind of just something, a habit.
Yes.
And now, okay.
Yeah. It's so many positive things have happened. I feel like I now know I can control my environment, and it definitely takes work. For example, I know we've talked about this, but so when I'm going to meet with someone who, a family member, let's say, that we've chosen to keep in our lives, even though there has historically been maybe a lot of friction there. And we keep seeing them because they're family, and that's what we do. I guess some of us do.
Family is like a workshop for everybody, mostly.
So I know now that I don't have to keep replaying that story. That doesn't have to be the story that keeps going. It can be more like, oh, wait, I can create the mood that I want. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to really come into this gathering in a really solid, good space. And I've noticed that when I do it well, I can actually meet this person, and this person always also comes to me in a very good space. And we have a great time while we're together, and then we part ways. And so even though maybe there have been past experiences where we've seen maybe not so good sides of one another, I am fully convinced that I don't ever have to see that side of them, and they don't ever have to see that side of me again. We can always come together and only see the best in each other every time if I want.
Yeah.
And so I know that because of the law of attraction. And so it's amazing how powerful you realize you are. And it's fun when you create something. I mean, I say this, it's kind of fun when you create something that is unpleasant. In retrospect, it can be fun because you're like, oh, what did I do to get there? How did I do that?
Oh, I focused on all their bad qualities and how much they annoyed me.
Right, exactly. So what do you think's going to happen? Of course, they're going to bring their that worst quality game or whatever, and that's what you're going to see, and that's not their fault. That's not that there's no blame. It's no one's fault. It's basically a feeling that you threw out there, like, ooh, this worried feeling that they're going to be this way.
Right.
And then of course you drew that in. So
Well, and
It's
I love this idea too of like where you're experiencing what seems like you're affecting the environment, where in a way it's like you've chosen to be this resonate with a good energy. And then here's where we get totally wacko, but hey, it's science. You've attracted the timeline where you're attracting the match to that, and negative Erica attracted negative, like all the infinite whatevers. And it's not me. Other real physicists say this, so I'm not going like a different timeline. Go look at physicists; they know things, and so it's like you're continually pulling in. You're not controlling other people, but you're really pulling in like a better experience for like as time just keeps splitting every nanosecond. You're going. I'm choosing like let's say going to the right versus the left or something, just as an example. You're always choosing the better feeling. You're gonna end up just always attracting better and better things. And when you don't attract stuff that you want, you're like, oh, that kind of went sideways. Sometimes you can look at your own energy and go, no, I was in really good mood. That's really weird. Like, I don't know what the deal is. And then later on, you see the nugget, kind of like you were saying before, where you're like, oh, I got to like test my patience and I passed the test. Or like, I didn't realize how resilient I was, or I didn't realize that I was way less judgy than like you have something happen to sort of show you a new thing that you haven't seen before. So it's not like
yeah.
nothing bad or unwanted won't happen, but you see a new you in that space.
Yeah.
I think.
That's really cool. Yeah, I love that. Oh my God, I had like 5 thoughts and I forgot every single one.
You have so many good thoughts. I'm just so chatty tonight because it's like my
It's
favorite
good.
topic,
I
right?
love this topic. It's fantastic.
Ooh.
Same. Oh my gosh. Thanks to you. One of the thoughts, what was that? I swear to
This is our
God.
hold music.
I don't know what is going on with my brain right now.
It's
It's
okay.
like,
Do you want, I just thought of something.
oh,
Do you want to
please
keep
go. Yeah.
going?
No,
Okay.
you
You're like,
go.
oh, please, please.
Yeah. Because,
Okay. Ask and it is given. A title of a really good book. This is like huge, and we probably should have started with it. What's law of attraction? Okay. So the universe to me, because it's this ball of allness, when desire is answered, right? I swear, okay, if I believe anything, I believe if you ask, it is given. And the deciding factor if you receive it or not is if you can receive it. I have asked the universe, I'm like, I just need to know this. And for whatever way it comes, I always get an answer. Always, 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 always. I just forget to ask. It doesn't mean when I ask, I want $100,000 by Thursday that I'm getting that, but I might get the answer of why I'm blocking that. Like I can see, oh, okay, this is why you wouldn't let this in, because your brain's like, well, how is that going to happen? That's not going to, how could, like your brain would totally block it. If you had zero resistance, there's this woman who won, I'm sure they advertise all this stuff on the internet, but basically she won every contest she was in. And I listened to several interviews with this woman, Helen Hetzel, and the woman had no resistance. Like you'd hear her talk and she's like, well, I just thought I'd want that. So I just thought I'd, claim it. And she had her little process and it's really good. And so it wasn't like any good law of attraction teachers, there's coaches, Abraham, all this stuff. It's not that it's difficult. The steps aren't a thing, is that you don't allow it's given to you, but you're going to be like, no, my brain is not going to allow this, or some part of you, right? So the real thing is learning how to receive it and clear the resistance out of yourself. And that comes to that peaceful space,
oh,
because you
I
just
love
aren't
this.
resistant when you're in that peaceful space.
Oh my gosh. This
Okay,
is
say
like,
more.
and this is a beautiful segue. And there are certain things that we're going to say on these podcasts over and over and over because they are fundamental truths, in my opinion, that need
Yes.
to be repeated. Because even though I feel like I know enough to live a pretty happy life, I forget things and all the time. So this is one of those things. This the unconditional love thing, which I think for me equals all things positive. That feeling of love is kind of for me, and you can call, I don't know, to me, when I use the word love, I'm talking about a variety of things, or actually one thing and also a lot of things. So here's what I'll say. Um, so you'll hear the word source, universe, God, um, allness, infinite allness, whatever you call the, or if you do call it a thing, that's sort of the one thing that connects all of us, and that is all that is. I also use the term love to refer to that, because
good to know.
Yeah. So when I say love, and I think the reason I use the word love is because that word resonates with humans, I think, more than like the word source. God resonates only with a certain few. Universe resonates with another few. But love, I feel like we all have our own definition of love, and it all feels good. And because I love feelings, why not just use that word?
You're going to name it a feeling.
I'm going to name it a feeling. It's like the ultimate feeling. And so,
yeah.
So I've been kind of on this thing where giving and receiving love is the same thing. And if all else fails and you don't really know what feeling you need to choose to get the thing you want, just go to who you are innately, which is that unconditional love space. And when you just go there and trust that that is what's going to bring you everything that you want, because I really do think that is, that's a relatively easy thing to try to remember and to try to do, and just understand that love can come in the form of relationships. It can come in the form of financials. It can come in the form of, health. Thank you. Vitality. Yeah. It can come in the form of whatever it
Squirrels
is.
Playing.
Squirrels. Yes. Dogs named Tico, it's Teeks. Just going to that yummy, unconditional and non-attached love space opens you up to receive and removes any resistance.
You just said attached. Can you talk more about attachment, non-attachment?
Yes. Okay. This is great. I've been thinking about this too. And I want to hear your thoughts on this because that's why I love that it's not just love, it's unconditional love. That's such an important piece of the love part.
The conditions.
There is conditional love when you decide to give love with the expectation that you're going to get something back. Right. And then you withhold the love because you're not getting what you think or what you are wanting. That's not unconditional love. And there are a lot of us, including myself, have fallen into that trap where it's like there's fear. Then, fear that, if I show this person my love and they're not going to give it back, well, whatever. But unconditional love feels so amazing because when you just love whatever it is that's in front of you, whatever it is that's in your environment, and usually it's people or pets or it's things that, it's not.
But can you love all 50 emails that came in first thing in the morning?
So
give that a shot, right? That's PhD level shit.
That is PhD level shit. But like the more here's what's interesting. The more you practice this unconditional love, the less that kind of stuff's going to even happen.
Yeah. Or you won't care.
Or you won't care. Or they come in and
given 0.
That's right. Yeah. It won't even be a thing that you like. Yeah. They come or they don't. Or maybe you want to see 50 emails. They're great. Whatever. Or maybe your perspective shifts where it's like, oh yay, 50 emails. Woo-hoo.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. But yeah, it's the non-attachment. It's the delight and the surprise of whatever enters your world. And you just love it. You just love it.
Does no, I know the answer to this. When people want a thing and they're attached or non, how, let's put it this way. It's a trick question. If I want something, there's a desire. my emotions are attached to it. So why do people say, be non-attached to the thing you want? Like, let's say there's a person who really desires having children. Like, let's say that's something that's super important to them. You can't say, okay, want that with every fiber of your being, but then don't want it. Right? So how does a person, and this, I'm using this as a metaphor because that parental love is really strong, right? How do people have, when they want something really bad, what's your advice to the letting go? To trust that it's going to happen when all signs point to the fact that it wouldn't, not like in a crazy way, like, like things that defy the laws of nature, but things that are plausible and possible, but people are still attached to it. It's not
So,
really a trick question. I feel like I know what the answer is going to be, but I want you to go with this.
and then I want to hear your answer.
Okay.
So I think there's an inherent probably what's the word I'm looking for? There's some trickiness around wanting something so much. Like that in and of itself is going to get you into some trouble. I think here's what I think. You, again, going back to what the fundamental beliefs are, you came into this life with a certain set of desires and things. And the reason that you want something is because, in a way, it's going to happen. That's why you want it. It's going to happen. And whether or not it happens, now or in a year or in the next lifetime or in the lifetime after that, whatever it is.
Yeah, one of your lifetimes.
The only reason you really want it so bad is because it will happen. So when you trust that it will happen, because it's going to happen. B, you don't have to hold on to it. You don't. The universe knows. You have to trust that the universe is all knowing, all powerful, all everything. You don't have to keep telling it over and over and over and over that you want this thing. It's it heard you.
It's not a stupid waiter that doesn't like their job. Or is it? What if we found out that the universe was in fact a really bored waiter that wants to just go back and smoke? And it's like, yeah, I got your order, whatever. God.
That would be amazing.
I would love to be surprised. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's an all loving, very paying attention part of life that's inside all of us. Or it's a really disaffected waiter.
This is going to be a cartoon.
It's going to be a cartoon. Yeah.
So awesome. So yeah. So really just know and trust that the universe knows, or source knows, God knows, love knows, whatever you want to call it, knows, your higher self knows. And you can let that go now. And you can go and live your happy life. And again, go back to appreciating the squirrels that are running up the tree, and go back to appreciating the synchronicities in life. Go back to enjoying your lunch with your friend and focusing on what's going on in their life. Right. Just know that your desires are heard loud and clear the first time. You don't even, to the extent to which you're not even consciously aware of all that you desire. And the universe is. Yes. The universe already knows. It's already happening. So you need to understand that. It knows you better than you know you. So now here's the other thing I'll say about this. When you hyper focus on something, I look at it, and I know I've said this, it's going to be another boring metaphor, but like that, like the, what is the laser thingy, the Star Wars, whatever.
Oh, I don't even know.
Lightsaber. Yeah. Yes. It's sort of like or I don't even know if that's the right analogy. It's something, think of like the way a laser, something, or a fire hose, like you said, something that's so hyper focused on something and pointed something, it's actually pushing it away. Or like a really powerful fan is like pointed in certain, in like those industrial fans. Yeah. Yes. And like, it's just blowing away your desires in the opposite direction. When you're that focused, think of yourself as that, because that's what you're doing. You're actually pushing the thing that you want away when you're so hyper focused on it. So what you need to know is trust that whatever it is that you want, it's happening. It is happening. And trust that it's going to happen in the way that is best for you, because that is the agreement you made. It's beautiful. It's freaking cool.
It's super cool. Okay, so I had thoughts to add to that. I was thinking of people, like a lot of times the reason we want something so hard is because we actually are in pain, and we're in the wanting state instead of, again, back to the, okay, if I got, let's say, the dream job or dream man or the dream health or dream life, we I think truly people don't believe that they can have it. So it's easier to want it than to deal with the pain of not feeling like you deserve it. You're not going to get it because it's too hard. You don't know how it's going to happen. Like, and I think the exception would be, let's say, like there's people that are super tactical, and let's say they're an athlete or something like that. They have to want those things to punish their bodies the way they punish their bodies. But their energy is already lined up, a lot of them, to, be at least in the competitive space where they're vying for the world championship or something like that. Their energy already says, I am worthy enough to get this far, right? So it's sort of a different kind of focus, I think, when they're already there. But most people just are more comfortable in the painful wanting space than in the, oh, I'm just going to practice satisfaction. Like they'd rather be frustrated because it's scary. You don't know how to get this stuff, especially this, how do you meet a man if you're 55 and single and don't know how to, there's a lot of people like this. And so it's easier to go into the hard wanting than the, like, oh my God, I don't even know how this is going to happen. Like it's scary, right? So you had thoughts.
Go. Yeah. Your two thoughts. Okay, the athlete one, that's a great example, because I think for them, when I think about physical movement and how good it feels, they're just setting themselves up for more goodness because it feels so good. It's different when you're moving your body in certain ways and you keep reaching higher and higher levels of that euphoria, then you're set up, you're already creating good momentum, which is why I think it's easier for an athlete, generally speaking. So I think that, that's the other thing I'll say is the fear is the word that so either way you like, so there's fear on both sides of it. When you're focusing, there's still that fear running in the background of, oh, I'm not going to get it. Mm-hmm. So really, again, a lot of times we do need to go and really go and address the fear that's underneath that, because sometimes when you distract yourself instead with the squirrels, but the fear is still running in the background, you do need to look at that and release that, because if that doesn't get released, it's still there. There's still that sort of meh, and
the fear isn't your fault, because everyone's been conditioned to not be empowered. So we've already given our power away. So no one knows how to get the things they want, or they're too afraid to go out and get it for whatever reason. It's like there's no part of your life, unless you had amazing parents and went to a perfect school and had the best set of friends and all the things, which rarely happens to people, that people feel empowered to create the lives that they want, And
I'll circle us back to the love, the unconditional love part, because here's the thing. Fear, if you're choosing the feeling of fear over the feeling of love, then you're going to keep getting results that perpetuate that fearful feeling. So even if there's a fear and you're like, I don't know how to get rid of this fear, when you just go to love, the fear and love cannot really be felt simultaneously. They can be felt, everything's possible. Yeah, I guess it's possible. but really, when you really get to a truly loving space, not just like, and it can take practice, but when you really get to a truly loving space and love the fear, maybe you just point the love to the fear, and then you're in the love part, and the fear then becomes kind of outside of you. if you want to focus on the fear, just love the fear.
Yeah.
Love the thing, love the thoughts that bring the fear. It's sort of like the Matt Kahn, love whatever arises, love that.
Yeah.
It's so true
Hmm.
because when you just go to the love, over time, you're going to let go and let go and let go of the fear and anxiety, because all
Yeah.
that is just a habit that has been created over time. And so you just keep finding more and more things to be fearful and anxious about.
Oh
And
my God, yes.
that's just what it is. Uh-huh.
I've seen it over and over again. I mean, and I think it builds momentum, especially as people get older. And the only thing that I would say is that I think it's a pretty big jump to go from pretty fearful space to like a really happy space. So one of the kind of back to the laws. So if we kind of go back to the theory of waves, where everything is a wave, right? The energy coming off you, all your atoms, the dark matter, everything is a wave. Like just think of it that way. I'm not a physicist, but I read books. So if everything's a wave and your wave generally is a little bit of joy, a lot of fear, anxiety, frustration, there's it's a mix, but let's just say if it was a perfume of waves, the fear that whatever that mix is has a certain overall wave that it makes, a symphony
Odor.
of waves. It's got an odor. So to try and say, okay, now just quick, change it. Pretty tricky, right? So I think the key is to go, where can you turn up the volume and turn down the volume in the right spots? Because what that does is it changes the wave, which will then attract and create different things. And sometimes the simple thing is give yourself, more space. We had a podcast on this just recently. Give yourself more space to change those waves. Do whatever it takes. Make feeling good matter to you. Even if you're terrified of something. I was in a situation years ago where I was terrified every 15 seconds. I mean, I could not get out of the fear. I mean, just horrible, debilitating fear for like a year. And one day I was just like, I just can't do this anymore. So I made this step where every time I'd start the fear, I was like, no. And I just shut the door every single time. Like, people I don't recommend doing this, but if you had a shot collar for an animal, please God, don't do that. But eventually you train things to stop happening. So instead of giving myself pain, I just put up this sort of no, like you just can't think. I don't care if this is true. I don't care if it's going to be true. You can't think this. And eventually that changed I'm here today in a very peaceful, happy state because of that behavior. So sometimes if it's really bad, you just have to be the disciplined person inside yourself and go, no, you're not. Sorry. I know you want to go off this rabbit train of whatever because somehow you do. And sometimes it's really real too. It was a really real situation. It wasn't like I'm just thinking of something. It was really real. And I just kept going, no, I don't like in this moment, it doesn't matter. You're not thinking this. Like there's no reason you need to be thinking this. It might be true, but it's 10 o'clock and you're in bed. Like what use is this thought? So for those who are really struggling, like you just have to start disciplining your mind to at least stop doing something. And eventually it softens. And then eventually you can get more gratitude. And, like it's micro steps, but it does start with discipline. And it feels like effort because there's so much momentum behind these things. For people who are in like a more pretty good space, then it's time to double down on gratitude and focusing on how good feeling is important to you and just turn that up. That's my recommendation. So wherever you're at on that spectrum, there's always something you can do to make it 0.5% better today, because 0.5 adds up to in 200 days, you're 100% better, and some days
Absolutely.
are better than others. So
I love that.
that's that.
That's really helpful. And
Yeah.
you made me think of in the scenario where, for me, my struggles tend to come from relationships. Okay. And so what I do is, when my natural habitual state goes to pointing the finger, not the middle finger, but this finger, when it goes to here, when it goes to, oh, you did this, you made me feel this way, or you're not doing what I want you to do, and now I feel this way, kind of like that victim blamey situation. It's like the furthest thing from what I realize that I have to be doing, which is actually love that person. The only reason I'm pointing the finger is because it's kind of that pendulum swing where it's like super love this person, withhold my love completely from this person. And this feels really painful, the withholding your love side, because that's not naturally who we are. We don't naturally withhold love, because it's like withholding our entire being.
Intention.
That's not
hold back the universe. How's that going for you?
Exactly. So when I realize if I'm having a struggle in a relationship and I'm feeling, angsty toward a person, I have to remind myself to just shed so much love, point so much love toward that person. And that makes me feel so much better. And then of course you get back to that good feeling state. Yeah. And then, so it's, there's so many different ways to handle whatever situation you're in, like what you just described is so helpful and useful. Like, no, and for me, like love, like, point the love laser to, so it's great.
Well, I think if you're in an extreme situation, it's just like you said, I was just in like discipline, like I couldn't even feel anything. I was just like, just don't go here, and then step back from the ledge bit by bit, and eventually you're far away from it. Yep. But then, over the course of several years, then you get to the point where you're like, well, how much would I love to goose up my joy today? I'm like, well, what do you want to think about? I'm like, I think about joy things. Okay. Or don't think about anything and just feel the feeling of, we all know what relief feels like. And I learned this from Abraham Hicks. They're like, if you can just do anything, like just feel relief for a second. Like, like someone took care of all your emails and all your, like everything was totally perfect. You had no errands, nothing. You'd feel like, that's great. Okay, you got that one. Okay, now goose it up a little bit to satisfaction, and then here's my hack. This one I think is brilliant. I may have said this in another podcast before, is pretend everything you are wanting recently is just totally going to happen, like in a really good time frame, and just be like, it's totally guaranteed. I think I said this before. I love that one because it's a feeling of excitement and satisfaction kind of mixed. I'm like, guaranteed. I'm like, oh, I love it. And then I totally relax and I have relief. And, so it's like, find ways to stick the good feeling where you can find it, especially if you're hyper focused on not being in the present moment and you're always like, go, go, go. It's super important to goose up that stuff because the miracles happen. Like when I'm in a good space, the miracles are insane. I mean, I'm talking like stuff I don't even want to say in public because like people just be like, are you even kidding? I'm like, no, it's really, really good stuff. So, okay, I have a question for you. If you had to explain law of attraction to a child, but not a kid, like someone your son's age, where they don't want to listen to a podcast about every nuance, how would you sort of help them understand this so they could not suffer? You know how we started off this podcast with everybody's sort of, if they just knew this, they wouldn't go so sideways. So how would you sort of help? I love the like attracts like. I love the ask and it's given. What do you think that sort of like something that attention span of a teenager or something that you could kind of give them and they'd be like, oh, kind of didn't think about that, but they don't want to sit and listen to like the lecture. So how would you do that?
I think children are so much wiser than we know that they come in pure, and and they get conditioned. And I think even at that age, there's still a lot of wisdom there that, well, there's always a lot of wisdom. It's just like sometimes we shove it to the side and forget about it.
Yeah.
But I think at that age, especially when, their bodies are changing and emotions are running
But they
rampant.
want to be like part of the group. So they don't want to think anything outside of.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of really being too technical with them.
Okay.
I think for me, at least I think that I like to tell my son to just trust himself, because really that's what it boils down to. He doesn't need to know the semantics behind why.
He doesn't need to know
It
the laws
doesn't,
of the universe
no,
just yet.
yeah. And I mean, if he's interested, yeah, but I don't think that that's a necessary thing to try to explain. I think for him, teaching kids to trust themselves, to trust their feelings and emotions is really where it's at. Because when they do that,
Oh, brilliant.
that's the bottom line. And at every age, because I wasn't taught that, and school doesn't teach that. I don't know any school that teaches you that hyper focuses on this idea of trusting your feelings and intuition and gut reactions and things like that, as your guide in life. So that's what I do with my kid, is I just say, hey, how are you feeling about this thing? And if he's like, no, he doesn't have to tell me why. I don't care why. And he doesn't even have to know why. It's just a feeling he has that he doesn't want to do this thing. So he's not going to do it. And that's okay. That's what he should trust.
Except for brushing teeth. But you will brush your teeth.
Right. And that's the thing where there's like,
you're talking about decisions that
yeah, right. And that's where, it is a tough thing, because there's so many societal norms and so many, even with brushing teeth, it's like, okay, well, yes, you got to brush your teeth. But if you ate so well today in a way that, like literally zero sugar, no bread, no, you know what I mean? Nothing processed, like
saintly. Yeah.
It actually doesn't even matter if you brush your teeth, if you eat do you know what I mean? But I mean, that's a whole different extreme and a whole different conversation. But yeah, that's right. It's and it is tough because, especially when it comes to going to school, like, I don't want to do my homework. Oh, you're not feeling like doing your homework? Okay, great. Trust that,
Really? Oh my God.
No, I'm just saying, I'm laughing because I haven't said that to him, and I don't think I will. But it's,
well, you can also go, so how do you feel about the consequences of eventually not doing your homework enough that you're back in the other grade?
Well, that's the thing. I think it's for him. He knows the consequences, and so I've never actually had to tell him to do his homework. Which
I love that that was the first thing you thought of, because I was like, well, here's the PowerPoint. Like, again, this is why I'm a stepmom. You're a real mom. I'm a half mom. And I didn't, when my stepdaughter was younger, I was into this stuff, but peripherally enough that it wouldn't have been a conversation. So I love that I love that you started there, because if you are trusting your feelings and emotions, it puts you more in touch with your feelings and emotions, which then makes you realize, maybe at a later time, the relationship between your emotional state and what's happening on the outside. And then someday there might be a conversation about, hey, guess what? Your feelings kind of reflect your reality a little bit, because we've all had the whole, like, we're angry and then we get on the road, and of course then everything goes side. Like, go driving and see what mood you're in, because you'll know. Like, if you didn't know you were frustrated before, you'll find out that you were frustrated.
So true.
And I just love that you selected that as your main advice. And so it's kind of a nice message of, don't get all push your law of attraction on your children thing. Is just teach them to be empowered with themselves and trust themselves, and it'll naturally get to that level. And hey, they know what you're into. They can, one of these days when they don't get what they want, you'd be like, I'm here. I can show you stuff. But usually they're pretty good at manifesting, those kids.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's amazing because they're not so conditioned, and they haven't.
Yeah.
It's really great. And I will say, even for adults, I think the one thing that everybody can all agree on, I think most of us, 99.9% of us, can agree that feeling good is where it's at. Like,
Yeah.
what drives you to make these choices? Well, either it makes me feel good, or I think it's going to make me feel good, even if it doesn't make me feel good. Like, I'm going to take that $200,000 paying job because I think that's going to make me feel good ultimately, even
Yeah.
though it may make me feel like uh, it may be torturous 5 days a week. I'm still going to take it because I think at the end result, it's going to
Yeah.
bring me better feelings of security or whatever. It's always about the good feeling. That's really what it is.
Right.
Even though, ironically, a lot of choices we make us feel terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. You learn along the way. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I thought all this money was going to give me this peace and calm. And in fact, trying to hold on to all this money is not giving me peace and calm.
Exactly.
And yeah, so that's the irony. But this was a great discussion. And I know that we have 7 more hours of discussion in law of attraction, but we're gonna let everyone go to sleep, brush their teeth, do
Do their
things,
homework.
do their homework. And I think the advice that you're giving children also is the same advice we can give everybody, which is trust yourself. And of course, trusting yourself and connecting with yourself is loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're here to help and support. Send us your questions, work with us if you want to, but mostly we just want to hear what your thoughts are. So let us know. Erica, always a pleasure to talk about the universe with you, darling.
Same.
And any last thoughts, or are you good?
I'm good.
We're
Yeah,
good.
we're
We
good.
covered every aspect of the universe. So Flowgetter fans and Flowgetter noobs, we love you, and we'll see you next time.
Hey.
Bye.